Texas Annual Conference clergy, lay delegates, and friends. Hi, I'm Robert Besser, Director of the Center for Connection and Resources, Conference Treasurer, Benefits Officer for the Texas Annual Conference since January of this year, and United Methodist Minister of our conference for the last 33 years. With me is Mark Helms, our Controller for the Texas Annual Conference since 2010. First, we are so grateful to each district, church, and each member for each contribution submitted to support the ongoing ministries of the Texas Annual Conference and our continued connectional work together. Thank you so much for your continued faithfulness. The Texas Annual Conference is sovereign, and we are grateful to the previous leaders and the financial commitments to enable us to have sufficient reserves. Our conference is financially stable and continues to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world, no matter what the future brings. For all the details, please read our full report and refer to the visual charts and the spreadsheets that follow. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. All the assets, receipts, and expenses in this report refer to the conference fiscal assets only. For real properties, please see the Board of Trustees report. For pensions and group health benefits assets, expenses, and reserves, please see the Board of Pensions and Group Health Benefits Committee reports.
In 2022, conference receipts, including donations, exceeded expenses by $1.382 million. Investment returns resulted in losses totaling $2.371 million. The net effect was a decline in conference operating reserves in the amount of $989,000 during the year. We ended fiscal year 2022 with operating reserves totaling $10.1 million. Total apportionment receipts totaled $15.374 million in 2022. We received 90.4% of the budget target for 2022. 2022 receipts represented an increase of 16.69 percentage points over 2021. In 2021, we received 73.7% of the budget target. Much of the higher receipts in 2022 was a result of the disaffiliated churches required to pay both their 21 and 2022 apportionments. As of January 1st, 2023, 300 churches remained in the Texas Annual Conference. Of those, 230, roughly 77% of the United Methodist churches in the Texas Annual Conference paid 100% of their general church, jurisdictional, and conference apportionments in 2022. This slide is a visual representation of the conference's fiscal assets as of the 2022 close. Total conference net assets totaled $41.1 million. The column on the left contains the asset categories that comprise our net asset position. Conference cash totaled $2.7 million, while our non-restricted investments totaled $27.3 million. Non-restricted investments are not permanently restricted, but may be designated as restricted or available to use as needed for ministries and/or operating expenses. Restricted investments are permanently donor restricted and can only be used for certain types of ministries. The sum of these three asset categories, cash plus non-restricted investments plus restricted investments, equal the net asset total of $41.1 million. The column on the right demonstrates the breakdown of the conference's net assets totaling $41.1 million. However, we have carved out the assets that comprise the designated reserves and the operating reserves. Once the restricted investments of $11.1 million are subtracted from the $41.1 million of net assets, the remaining balance is $30 million, which is the $2.7 million in cash plus $27.3 million in non-restricted investments. Within the right column, the conference's designated reserves are reflected as $19.9 million. Subtracting the designated reserves, $19.9 million, from the cash plus non-restricted investment position of $30 million results in a remaining balance of $10.1 million. This remaining balance is recognized as the conference's operating reserves. As reflected in the prior slide, the conference's designated reserves totaled $19.9 million as of the 2022 close. Designated reserves are temporarily restricted funds our council has chosen to restrict for certain purposes or ministries. They include some donor-restricted funds like UMCOR funds for disaster relief and funds which were temporarily restricted for a specific purpose. For example, property proceeds reserved for campus ministries. A list of all designated reserve ministries and purposes are listed on slides 5 and 6 of this presentation.
Friends, let's turn our attention to the 2023 spending guide. Our strategy for 2023 is that prior to disaffiliation, our conference approved the budget of $9,285,854. This was approved at the May 2022 annual conference and is seen in the first column entitled Original Budget. Please note, this excludes general, jurisdictional, and fair share goal requests. The conference apportionment amounts of the disaffiliated churches is $4,267,692, which represents a 45.96% decrease in conference apportionment receipts. The apportionment target of the remaining United Methodist churches is $5,018,162. Projections and Expenditure Guidelines 2023 is that every year the Council on Finance and Administration relies on the conference fiscal office's end-of-year projections to help the conference staff align the spending with expected receipts. This year's need for every congregation to pay 100% of their apportionments is critically important. For the ministries of the Texas Annual Conference to continue, we must all pull together as one body to continue serving and making disciples of those inside the church, while at the same time reaching those outside the church. Our 2023 spending guide, our budget, is $5,018,162, which again is based upon 100% payout of every United Methodist church that's seen in column A. In addition to the apportionment payout, there are additional funding sources, such as noted in columns B, C, and D. Column B is the annual funding. Annually, since 2010, the pension reserve is used to pay administration costs incurred in managing the pension and group health benefits plans. The group health reserve is anticipated to cover any expected shortfall in apportionment receipts due to disaffiliation. Departmental expenses are built into the following designated reserves: Board of Trustees, Episcopal Office, and Sustentation Fund. Departmental expenses are funded from these reserves annually. Column C, designated reserves totaling $1,395,282 have been earmarked to assist in funding ministries in 2023, and only if necessary. Column D, disaffiliation reserves of $1.182 million are the net receipts as of December 31st, 2022. These receipts reflect the apportionment funds paid by disaffiliating churches for unpaid 2021 Texas Conference apportionment amounts. Columns A plus B plus C plus D are the total from, first, the church apportionments from receipts if all churches paid their apportionments 100%. Column B, annual funding from benefits and departments. Column C, designated reserves. And column D, disaffiliation reserves. Remember, columns B, C, and D will only be used if necessary. Please note, general and jurisdictional apportionments decreased from $7.4 million to $6.8 million, which is a 7.73% reduction. And our conference apportionments decreased from $9.7 million to $5,018,162, which is a 48.73% reduction. And then fair share goals increased by 2.23%. The total comparison of 22 to 23 total spending guide shows a total decrease from 17.9 million to 12.5 million, or a decrease overall by 29.73%. Our proposed 2024 budget for approval is $4,231,930, or it's a 15.67% decrease from 2023 budget. This is noted in column A. Column B is the annual funding. Again, annually, since 2010, the pension reserve has been used to pay administration costs incurred in managing the pension and group health benefits plans, representing $719,000. Departmental expenses are built into the following designated reserves: Board of Trustees, Episcopal Office, and Sustentation Fund. Departmental expenses are funded from these reserves annually. For 2024, we anticipate $356,138 of these reserves to get us through, only if necessary. Column C are our designated reserves, totaling $1.4 million, that have been earmarked to assist in funding ministries in 2024, if necessary. And then column D, disaffiliation reserves of $51,051, are the receipts that are available. These receipts reflect the apportionment funds paid by disaffiliating churches for unpaid 2021 Texas Annual Conference apportioned amounts. Columns A plus B plus C plus D are the total from a church apportionments from receipts if all churches paid their apportionments 100%. From B, annual funding from benefits and departments. From C, designated reserves. And from column D, disaffiliation reserves. Remember, columns B, C, and D will only be used if necessary. So friends, to summarize, the comparison of 2023 to 2024 proposed budget is a total decrease from $12.592 million to $8.772 million, or a 30.34% reduction of expenses. General and jurisdictional apportionments decreased from 6.8 to 3.8, or a 44.22% reduction. The Texas Annual Conference apportionments decreased from $5,018,000 to $4,231,930, or 15.67% reduction. And the fair share goal stayed the same. Friends, there will be 3 offerings received at the annual conference this year. Sunday night's opening celebration service. At the opening celebration, we will receive an offering going toward our new faith communities. As you know, the events of the past year have created some unique opportunities for new faith communities. Sunday night, we will have the opportunity to contribute to these exciting ventures. Monday afternoon at our memorial service, we will have the opportunity to continue to partner with the Laos WELD project. WELD, Water, Education, and Leadership Development. This project focuses on bringing clean water to communities deeply impacted by illnesses associated with the lack of clean water, education of children who do not have access to public education, and to leadership development as we continue to equip pastoral leaders for this country that is experiencing revival in wonderful ways. And then the third opportunity will be at Tuesday's ordination and commissioning service. On Tuesday night, we will celebrate the commissioning and ordination of clergy for the Texas Annual Conference. Bishop Harvey has a custom of taking ordinands on a trip to the Holy Land every other year. This coming January, she hopes to take those who were ordained last year and those being ordained this year to the Holy Land, often referred to as the fifth gospel. Few things impact a clergy person's pastoral ministry as much as a trip to the Holy Land, where one has the opportunity to stand by the Sea of Galilee and read the Beatitudes, kneel at the pool of Bethsaida, and almost hear Jesus ask, "Do you want to be made well?" It's an honor to invest in this trip for our clergy. Finally, let me mention about the annual audits. As we write this pre-conference journal report, the CPA firm Ratliff and Associates is reviewing our accounts. Copies of our completed audits will be available in the conference office. Please contact Mark Helms, our controller, for additional information. The Center for Connection and Resources would like to express its gratitude to Chairperson Don Morris and all other Council on Finance and Administration members who are serving faithfully to steward Texas Annual Conference resources. And personally, I want to say a word of thanks to all of you who dedicate your time, energy, service, and funds to support the ministries of the Texas Annual Conference as we serve this community and beyond